gender inequality, this house would adopt an extremely feminist approach. We are taking this case scenario where the government, and not only the government, we have tried all possible ways, and extremely feminist approach movements and ways are the only way out. Let me start by defining key terms. Gender inequality is a discrimination on the basis of sex or gender, causing one sex or gender to be routinely disprivileged or not to be routinely privileged or prioritized over another. The causes of gender inequality are uneven access to education, lack of employment equality, job segregation, lack of body autonomy, and poor medical care. Feminist approaches, these are, I can say in layman's terms, the way these women feel they can express themselves that maybe other people can't feel. There are many types: reformist, Marxist, radical. We are using the radical feminist approach, where one of the ways is violence. Violence is characterized like this: what you do to me is going to be at least what I do to you. Or what you do to me, the punishment I must give you must weigh to what you did to me. Who is going to do this? This is going to be done by the women feminist movements that are already in place. They're going to come, they're going to set policies accepting the use of extremely feminist approaches. There are other ways of carrying out extremely feminist approaches, such as cancel culture, which is a product culture. It's a blanket term basically used to refer to a modern form of ostracism in which someone is called out for their non-professional, in unjust ways, let me say. Like, I post something on social media, you come and you give me very negative comments that are hurting me, and you are cancelled. It can be online, social media, or actually in person. Let me give examples of people in cancel culture. Andrew Kawon, who was the ex-governor of New York City for sexual violence, Chrissy Teigen, Gina Carano, and Dan Paschel. Our main burden of proof this debate is one of the points we're using is carrying out matriarchy, where the women have power over these things. With this, I would like to end my speech by saying, I, like Rose, will not blame myself for carrying out an extremely feminist approach, because the wrong that has been done to me cannot be justified by anything else. To repeat, we are using this because we have tried other ways, the government has tried, everyone has tried, and there is no other way out. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable. I would love to be direct. Good afternoon to you. Thank you. Well, I would love to be direct due to the interest of time. Please let it be question and answer. Is the host school, and that is Nabisunsa, a single school or a mixed school? Single. Thank you. So, isn't that gender inequality? No. And then you like
want schools.
Yeah, they're also male schools.
Yes.
But right now we are considering the one in existence. Of course I do.
What is the meaning?
It's you to explain because they're the first speaker. That is the fact of being male or female, just the way you are and as I am. Well, do you believe that a feminist can be a man or a woman, or can be a man?
Yes.
Then you're just one-sided and you're like coming.
We're talking about women being the only feminist.
Then you're forgetting what you presented.
I gave an example of Rose. Rose may have been a woman that doesn't.
So, what are your parameters? You did not say as the first speaker, so would you please say? Then you're forgetting your role as the first speaker.
No.
Do you accept yes or not?
No.
No?
Yes.
Then please you should revise according to the roles of the first speaker.
I said your status quo already.
Yes.
So it's coming to be the parameter in her explanation.
Well, I would love to inform you before you go that at the role of a first speaker, you should set the parameters of a debate. Thank you so much. You can take your seat.
Thank you so much. Before I can proceed with anything, my name is Surah Rahman from the debater's side. First of all, the affirmers have not broken fully the key terminologies of this debate. So literally, our August House is not getting time to resolve this thing fully. The reason that's why I've come here is to fully break up the terminologies in this debate. She didn't talk about gender. It's my fellow negator that defines gender. Panel and the August House. Gender is the fact of being male or female. She didn't do so. So some other things she defined what characterized is. Not all these people know English. Not about the point of Rose. rose without presenting anything like kind of evidence. Are we here to debate like things we've dreamt about? Are we here to debate things that we heard about? We had stories of Nambi and Chintu, but nobody knows about it. So literally it's not confirmed. So I regard their point as null and void. It holds no water. Some other things she talked about is uneven access of education. Wow! I know, at the August House. And how can you say uneven education, access to education, when you are in a single-sex school? Wow. What a lie that she's speaking. Some other point that she talked about is violence. She defined violence as when I do something to you, then you should do the same. Really? Is that what the government should impose in this young generation? Is that what the government have to impose in the world? I really don't see the government holding water. Some other being a feminist in which way? I'm attending a Women's Day. This is a Women's Day. That only enough confirms the fact that I'm a feminist. So, madam, next time when you are coming, don't disorganize the audience. Some other thing she talked about is that matriarchy. That's deculturalizing. It's deculturalization. She's deculturalizing the nation. This is our Uganda. So our Uganda, like gone are the days when women were thought of being kitchen materials. They aren't so. Right now, you being in a single-sex school justifies the fact that there is already inequality. Us, as the opposers, we are opposing the extreme, the feminism. But we are opposing the extreme, as they put it, the extreme feminism. How can you beat it at the extreme? We are fighting that right now. We are attending the Women's Day just because we are fighting that thing of gender inequality. So by bringing extreme feminism in quotes, you're bringing something that is bringing gender imbalance that right now we are fighting. So, Kano, I'll only state my point that it leads to discrimination. That's why we, as the opposers, can never base on such a motion, resolution that is really, is holding no water according to what she presented. Discrimination, according right now, Madam Pano, is 35% of Uganda's MPs are women. Those days it used to be only 12%. So is there any need of extreme feminism? Really, I don't see any point holding water. Some other thing that she talked about, like, by the way, we as our opposers, we shouldn't only call for the equality, but we've already implemented such things. We've already implemented for the single-sex schools. So, thank you so much, Pam.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Natasha, and I'm here to ask you, do you know what your brother is?
Of course.
What is your brother doing?
I'm thinking out of the speech, the very big words I say, you can check your listening skills.
Okay, for clarity, your body of proof is to show us how the feminist does not solve the problem of gender equality. And you've come and treated it.
I talked about extreme.
Okay, let me ask you another question. Do you know the meaning of uneven access to education?
Of course, I know.
What does it mean?
That's where, like, you're in favor of some gender, females. You're saying that they aren't getting even education.
Yeah.
Yet you are in a single-sex school. What does that imply?
Did you have giving examples of success? You acknowledge that they're there?
That's to me.
You acknowledge that
That's,
they're there?
of course.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
you so much.
For the need of gender equality. Take an example of the women's march that happened in France in the 18th century. This was all because they have been trying to fight for equal women's rights since back then. But till this 21st century, they're still a marginalized group, even in France, after all their trials and everything they have gone through to achieve this feminist movement. What does this entail for our society? Feminist movements have tried through all possible ways to achieve gender equality, just to be at the same standard with men, because we are all people. They believe in equality for everybody, men or women, but this has failed. Now, what do you want us to resort to? We need to resort to extreme feminist approaches. And how is this done? Through cancel culture. Cancel culture is where you get somebody who has committed a let's say sort of crime or injustice against somebody and put them out on a public platform, showing the rest of the people what they have done. And this can be done through different things on social media through Twitter, Instagram, and all that. And it has been done not only to men, but to women as well. Women who are not in favor of the feminist movement. Take an example of Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy Teigen was a bully to her fellow women, and they had to bring her out. They had to cancel her on these public platforms so that they could know that yes, this one is not in favor of the feminist approach. And also misandry, this strong hatred towards a certain group, can hate through these men or other people who are not in favor of the feminist culture. Because peaceful methods have yielded almost no results. I'm not saying that there are no results to come with this, but they are developing at a slower rate than we actually want them to be. Since the 18th century, as I said before, and now in the 21st century, and women are still being marginalized, are still being segregated from certain jobs. Yes, you might say they're being given rights to vote and seats on big political governments or that, but then if you critically dissect this, you can see that they're still being maybe bullied in the workplace, they're still being given a lower pay, and that's not equality that we're trying to fight for here. It's not the equality that we actually want in our society. That's why people have resorted to extreme feminist movements, and that's what we want. Take an example of women who are emotionally and physically abused by R. Kelly. They've been trying to fight for this justice, but till recently that their case was actually heard out because they were not taking it seriously until they had to resort to extreme feminist approaches against this man who was emotionally torturing these people. He was emotionally torturing these young ladies because he thought they were weak, because he felt that they were very submissive to him, and this is what they had to resort to because they tried these peaceful methods that you're trying to impose on us today. They tried to report the cases, they tried to advocate for his arrest, but it failed to work, so they had to resort to extreme feminist approaches. That right now he's in jail, he has been indicted in jail, and you see it has actually led to more results than these peaceful methods you've been trying to use today. And you said uneven access, but the uneven access to education, but the current education rate of females to males is actually extremely low, not only in Uganda but at the world at large. Women are still being given less access to education. What does this entail for our society? What does this mean? That we need to resort to even more extreme feminist approaches so that they can actually fight for their rights, so that they can actually be given equal standards to in the political sector, in the social sector, in the economic sector, because these peaceful methods that we've been trying have refused. They have yielded little results, and that's what we want in our society. We are fighting for gender equality. Gender equality means that a man and a woman are at the same level. There's no bias because maybe a man is higher or a woman is higher. We want equality. We don't want women to be higher than women. No, we want equality between both men. And with that,
thank you so much. You guys had to cancel her over social media platforms.
Yes,
Can you call her in person and then
that's
I
the
really
way
finish and all WhatsApp. So some other question that I can tell you, what's being what's a
misandry.
What's that?
It's a hatred towards
But no, according to the 7th edition of the dictionary, it clearly states that a misunderstanding is any person that has hatred over women.
Did you check the 10th
So
edition?
literally, I don't know what you're talking about. Some other thing she talked about that women have been marginalized. Have you seen women at the construction site or no?
Yes, I have.
So is that being marginalizing them? We've already seen
The number of women at
them.
construction sites is less than the number of women at construction sites.
I'm not fighting. Some other thing, she's trying to intimidate me. I won't get intimidated anyway. Are you going to adopt the feminism, the feminist, the so-called extreme feminist thing, this feminist approach, or you've already adopted it?
It has been adopted in certain sectors.
So why has it failed?
Everywhere now.
Why has it
We are
failed?
still
So since it has already failed, I see no point. That's why we are
No, I did
debating
not say
right
it
now.
failed.
Because
I said
they've
that
already
it
confirmed to us
actually
that
works.
it's already under position, it's already working, but it has no water. It has held nothing like a point of water. So literally, I don't see your arguments final to say anything as far as this debate is concerned. The last question, if I can take up my seat, what's the source of your evidence? She's summary. Thank you so much.
Switching the power structure. However, this is a most idea that is misconcepted by most of the people. Panel judges, I'm here to oppose the resolution today. First of all, the first affirmative did not come and give us the parameters. And when my fellow came here and asked you very well, you said the second speaker is going to do so. She did not give all the information. By the resolution itself, it's encouraging inequality discrimination. How? We are standing over this as Nabisunsa being a school of girls only. However much we know male schools exist, yes, we are talking about women today. Nabisunsa girls, where we are today, it's not a mixed school. Thus, you're discriminating the male gender, if you didn't know about that. Also, it is bringing about sexual harassment. How? For example, I'm a qualified person holding a degree in any course. I got to ask for a job. Because I'm a woman, I'm going to be sexually harassed. The person who is going to be giving me that job might not be able to give me because of maybe the male who has come. And has the same degree with me. I'm going to be sexually harassed because I'm a woman and I'm eager to get that job. But then the male, just because you cannot be sexually harassed, you're going to get that job, and I'm going to get I'm going to be violated because I'm going to be sexually harassed. Women may be preferred in the case of divorces. How? The males in most cases might not ask for divorces, but women are always going to do so. Now, the affirmatives, let me say the government, are trying so much to put feminism as a point. Well, that is not the case to our side, because it is going to bring about misogyny, the hatred of men towards what? Sorry, the hatred for men towards the women. Let me say, you yourself, maybe when you get a heartbreak from maybe let me say a boyfriend, you're going to dislike this person because of how that person is going to be treating you. I don't know if you're going to understand me very well, according to your own perspectives. The second speaker, you've been mentioning more about females being cancelled. How about the men? Don't they have the right to be cancelled? Don't they have the right to be cancelled? Please, you would have informed us, not only emphasizing more about the females, but also the male. We're not bringing gender inequality here. As you had said that a feminist is a person who supports more feminism, let me say, you're preaching to put the gender as the only people, the female gender as the only people in the society. We also have the male gender. They're also people, they're also humans, as well as we, the females. We're not going to put the women ahead, rather we're all going to be on the same on the same floor, on the same place, whether being rich or not, we are going to be on the same line, on the same limits. We're not going to put extra measures for the women, rather we're going to have the same measures as the women have and the men also have with them. Thank you so much.
Just to start it, because you keep revolving around things about school being a gender inequality flagging school. Yeah. To inform you, the foundation has because the women lacked education.
How about that?
And they had just put King's College Budo, and it had become unfair for the Muslim women. Thank you. Next thing. Do you know R. Kelly? You don't. We talked about the men. I thought I'm not asking. We talked about the men.
Don't give me time to answer. I don't know her, but you asked me a question. Okay,
that tells you how we already gave you examples of men who have been cancelled. Andrew Cohen, for crying out loud, the ex-governor of New York.
Are you asking me or you informing me?
I'm informing you because you're coming here and giving us wrong things.
But you're supposed to ask me questions.
You don't tell me what to do. The punishment. You say the punishment has to be equal for both. That is always what's happening.
Because we are all humans.
Okay, we're all human, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, basically, that's it. But just to inform you.
But I'm here asked not to be informed, my love.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
People are debating gender inequality, right? They are debating gender inequality, and we are not saying that gender inequality is not existing. We are saying that the existing measures that have been put there to eradicate gender inequality are not working. And we're saying that we are going with the path of extreme feminist approach because we're saying that the available approaches have completely failed to work. The first thing I'm going to do in this debate is to rebut the points that have not been rebutted by my second speaker, and I will also expound more on our case. So they came here and talked about how their counter model is punishment to be equal, right? So we said in our debate that these things have already existed, right? Punishment has to be equal for both sides because you are saying that gender inequality is done by both men and women, right? And we're saying that punishment for both equal has been there, and we're saying we have reached a point where it hasn't worked, right? Because we're talking about corruption in this place. If you're saying that you're going to use the courts where men who are more influential and have more money are going to go and pay for their court justice, which means it is not working, right? So that's why we're going with extreme feminist approach. You are not understanding this debate. You keep on debating gender inequality. You keep on talking about how Nabisunsa is a single school. And we talked about the fact that single schools for boys were actually made first. Before Nabisunsa came, we talked about King's College, right? As she said, it was made first. By the time Nabisunsa came, by the time Nabisunsa was put in place, the fact men were already on top of women. That's what we were trying to solve. Our main problem is gender inequality. Both of us are looking for the same goal, right? Gender equality. That's what we're all moving for. But you're telling us that your view has already not worked. That's why we are moving to feminist approach. You come and tell us about how we did not set parameters. As the first proposer, it's a choice to set a parameter or not. Let me just clarify that. Although it's not very significant in this debate, but I just want to clarify that. So, your burden of proof was to show us that the extreme feminist approach were not going to work, but you have completely not done that. You have shown us that these things have worked, and you're giving us examples, which means you're contradicting yourself and you're coming to our side, right? Your burden of proof was to show us, instead of extreme feminist approach, what role should you take, right? And you showed us to a certain extent that you want punishments to be equal, but we are showing you that those punishments to be equal have not worked. That's why we are taking this form, and you fail to see that. So we are saying that the rate of women in these workplaces, because we are talking about, aren't there women in these workplaces, aren't there women giving opportunities? Yes, but we talked about the rate. The rate of the women giving opportunities is not the same as the men. That's why we are taking this form. You fail to understand that, right? We are saying that yes, in the construction places there are women, but are you telling me that the number of women in construction places is the same as men? Obviously, it is not true. That is not true. So to expound more on my case, we talked about a feminist approach, which is going to be done through misandry, right? Misandry, which is going to be done through cancel culture, just as my second speaker said. And we said that it's going to be done through the internet, where we criticize these men about what they have done, and how is this going to affect, how is this going to bring about gender equality? It's going to hurt the male pride, right? When it hurts male pride, these people are going to be able to look in themselves, and because men naturally fear being hurt in their pride, right? So we are going to hurt their pride, and people will be less likely to commit these atrocities. Then we say that it reduces the chances of people who are getting business contracts, just as my second speaker said. I'm just saying more of what they say to show you that your case is totally down, and to show you that ours proves more. We're showing you that your side has completely failed to put our burden of proof. We're saying that in tradition, already in these conservative societies, we know that men are being favored more, right? If you're trying to bring in your case, right, let's take an example that judges, we have taken their case into consideration, whereby they're wanting men and women to be given equal opportunities. So I rest my case saying that we have totally put down your case, and we have won this debate. Thank you very much.
Very spectacular evening. I'm Hamza Muhammad from Rabat. Panel. It's resolved in a world characterized with gender inequality, this House will adopt an extreme feminist approach. Totally, I negate this motion. Why? Indeed, it's so sad that the existing government, we have tried to entrust you with the powers, but it's so sad that you are much more focusing on securing your backs than securing the future generation from a crash. Well, firstly, starting with the first speaker, my beloved first speaker from the farmer side. Please and please, I would love to inform you that for the next time you're meeting us or any other team, please, your first role is to elaborate more about the point. not to give us stories without evidences. And another thing, we expect you to elaborate each and everything to the members, because we aren't here to pass time or to recite poems to ourselves. We are all about introducing each and everything to the members in the August House. And well, another thing, this is a fact. Extreme feminism already exists, but I'm so much worried that the members, they're already coming and opposing their points that they already put in place. Well, you already implemented it and it failed. Then why are you coming here to waste a lot of time and then implementing it for the second time, or focusing on points without evidence? Then another thing, all the points and arguments that have been presented, that nothing like proof, nothing like source of evidence. Even your same school, you gave a fake history. Please go on and revise. And then the role of the third speaker, yes, it's to elaborate and then to summarize. Well, allow me to do my role as a third speaker so that I summarize what my members say. Firstly, it was discrimination of gender. Someone talked about women being working on so-called constructions and so on. Not so? Then they also gave a point of Nabisunsa. We expect this current government so that to provide love, but the way they present things, they are presenting hatred. Please and please, it is only love that drives away hate. And then we are in a dark moment right now, but it's only during the darkness that we see the stars. Please, the current government in power, we are not here to oppose you, but we are here to advise you that for the next time you come to the audience or to the people that you lead, as well as to the opposition, please come when you're well versed with love as well as not spreading hate, because you are our leaders, not so? Thank you so much. Well, another point was all about sexual harassment, and this was emphasized. If at all a man comes with a degree and a lady also comes with a degree, sexual harassment will come in a way that a boss will use a lady and taking that advantage, which is sexual harassment. Then we have also misogyny, which was well explained by my first speaker. And then finally, we have deculturalization, and that is matriarchy. One of the members raised the point, but then finally, as I conclude my presentation, our beloved government, or the ruling government in power, how could you see if I could take you to the best of the nations? I'm not talking about Ukraine or Russia or so on, but I'm talking about imagination. Imagine if a situation could come and the current government sits down with the people that they lead so that they could solve real problems without coming up with your hatred and so on. Thank you so much. I raise my case.